Taylor vibes, my best Taylor vibes. I haven't recorded an episode at 8 a.m. in a while. Oh my god, I want to start this episode the way the guy started the Taylor Swift Eras Tour movie last night, going, "What's up, Swifties?" And it was sad. The whole theater was not full at all. There was maybe a couple rows full of people, if that. It was a 5:15 show on a Sunday, and so it was a real delay before people were like, "Oh, woo!" Because it's when you go see a movie, you don't expect to be greeted by the people who work there. But I actually really loved the commitment some of the staff, two specifically, had to the Swift vibe culture. They were there to pump us up. So it did suck though that the theater was empty, because it didn't feel like a concert when there wasn't a lot of people there. Welcome back to Human to Human. I'm doing an episode that I don't think I ever thought I would do, because I am pretty quiet about my Swiftiness. I am a Taylor Swift fan. I feel like her fan base has just taken on this next level in these past couple years of power and obsession. And so I haven't necessarily identified with the obsession, or just, I don't know, this insane movement that the Swifties have, and inside jokes and just understanding every element to Taylor's songs and stories and all of that. I am not all in like that, but I kind of forgot I am a Taylor Swift fan. I went to see the movie last night with my mom, and my mom was like, out of everyone, I think she meant between me, her, and my grandma, which obviously I would know the most words, I think, but she was like, out of everyone, you should be going to the concert because you knew every single word to every single song. And I was like, damn, Mom, thanks for paying attention. And so even though I haven't really obsessively posted about my love for Taylor Swift, I did feel very inspired to just talk about her and how I felt watching the Eras Tour movie, and also just why she is such an inspiration, I think, and what I took away from watching her, because there is a lot of power and lessons and just incredible shit in her work. So welcome to today's episode. It probably won't be a long one, but let's get into the Taylor Swiftness of everything. First of all, to start off with a little TMI, because that's how we start Human to Human, I tried so hard to hold my pee for the entire show, and I couldn't. I budged. I can't remember what era I was in or what era I was watching by the time I had to go pee. It was definitely one of the eras that was a bit slower and more relaxed, because I was like, okay, it was Our Song. When she was playing Our Song, she was talking for quite a bit at the beginning. So my mom was like, go now, go pee now. And I was like, okay, fine. Because I was just enjoying it so much and didn't want to miss anything. And I also have this feeling when I'm in a movie theater and I need to go pee and I actually leave the theater and I do go to the washroom, it kind of takes me out of the beauty of being so enveloped in a movie that you forget about the outside world. So when you're going to watch a movie, I want to sit and I just want to be so immersed in that movie for 2.5 hours that I don't even think that other people are existing. I'm just in this whole other world. And so with the movie, with the show, with Eras, I was like, I don't want to leave and miss something, and I also don't want to leave and go back into the real world. But I realized it was actually very, very different, the feeling I had going back into the quote unquote real world, because I went to see the movie with my mom and my grandma in VIP. My mom is like, I always want to go to VIP. So we didn't go to the regular theaters, which we realized we probably should have, because I think the regular theaters would have been way busier, which makes sense. They're cheaper. And it would have been so much more fun because it's concert vibes. But in VIP, the lights weren't fully dimmed, so that you could still see everyone. You could see all the employees. You could see everything going on. And I think that's for two reasons. One, a safety reason, because they said we could run around and dance. So I'm like, they're not going to make it fully dark if we're going to run around and dance, because it's probably a protocol thing. But also they were serving throughout the whole movie. They were serving alcohol or food if you wanted it. So they also need to be able to see you, which they don't usually do for movies. So they're really trying to give it concert vibes. And the VIP Cineplex just like did not deliver, unfortunately. But when I left to go to the washroom and come back, I didn't really feel that like, oh, I just came out of it and came back into it. Like I sat back down and I actually felt 10 times better and was like, okay, I'm back. I'm ready to vibe. I'm ready to have a good time. Let's fucking do this, because I felt refreshed. It's like when you are standing for a whole concert and you have to pee so bad you can't enjoy yourself. So you got to go pee and then come back. So that being said too, clearly it was so long that I couldn't hold my pee, and I don't think most people could hold their pee. If you could, props to you. You must have a crazy bladder or you aren't drinking a lot, because it started at 5:15 and we were out of there by like 8:15. It didn't actually start at 5:15 because there's a lot of previews, but it was long. Taylor said in the show that it was 3.5 hours. I think they cut the movie down a little bit, because the last song they played, actually, I don't think would have been like the last song, because she finished off with just like a song from her Midnights album, and I was like, I feel like this could have ended better. And most artists do an encore, but everything else was just insane. I am obsessed with her backup dancers. They're such bad bitches. Like, they were just so awesome and they did such a good job. The whole show was obviously pieced together so fucking beautifully, and Taylor just has this insane energy, and I'm such a theater kid at heart, and I think I felt like I don't vocalize my Taylor Swift love so much because I was friends with people for a long time who, like, most of my friends, even now, like, I think I have one friend who's a Taylor Swift fan, but so many people I'm surrounded by just, like, aren't Swifties. They don't really care for Taylor Swift. I've had friends who were like, oh, like, they don't understand the hype, and so you start to feel like you're like a bit of a loser, which is so shitty to be so into an artist. And this like takes me back to grade 5 when I was a big Justin Bieber fan and people were like completely shitting on Justin Bieber fans, and so I lied and I was like, oh my god, no, like, I'm not a Justin Bieber fan. I'm a pop culture, pop music kind of bitch. I am so into that shit, and so like I just haven't felt like I can be very like, oh no, I love Taylor Swift. And while I was watching the concert, when it first came on, I got so emotional, which I did not expect to happen. Like, I was like and I held in my tears for a while, and then finally I was like, Jess, why are you holding your tears so much? And so I started crying during Love Story, I want to say. No, it wasn't Love Story. Let me pull up the video. Oh, I started crying during Lover, and I think like it's hard to pick a favorite album, but Lover is an album that's really, really close to my heart, because during my first year of university, that's when the album came out, and I was living in downtown Toronto, and I was living on my own for the first time, and I remember walking down the streets to class just bumping out to Lover, and it just is such a monumental album for me. I remember the exact moment in my life and how it felt to listen to it, and just how it felt to be the person I was at that time. And so I just started crying during Lover, and eventually I looked at my mom, and then she immediately started crying, and she's like, at the end, she's like, I don't know where that came from. And I was like, I'd been feeling it. I've been needing to let it out. And it's just because, like, music is so powerful, and performing and watching someone on stage and someone sing live beautiful music, it's really emotional and powerful and beautiful. And so I got overwhelmed with just like so much emotion that I felt like was inside of me, and I just like love being so immersed in the beauty of music and art. And so it all came out, and I was so grateful for that. And then throughout the whole movie, just watching her, I was like, she is just an incredible performer. And so many people, I don't know, this was just like, I love the theme in her music of just fighting against the patriarchy, and the fact that like so many of her songs include lyrics that talk about like being a mad woman, and like what the fuck like what that means, and like I don't know her actual titles. This is when I don't feel like a Swiftie, is because I can't just like name off all the songs and just feel really confident about it. So I'm gonna just look it up. It's just called The Man. Like The Man. And just if you watch the movie, or if you like listen to a lot of her music, there's so many themes of just like people shitting on women for being obsessed with things, people shitting on women for being confident in who they are, people shitting on women for being powerful. And Taylor Swift really does empower not only like her fans, but women specifically, to own who they are and own the power that they have. And like, I had this reel come up on my Instagram, which fuck this algorithm, that said like, Taylor Swift, yeah, she's like a great artist, but she's crazy and she takes on her boyfriend's personalities and she dresses like them and she becomes a different person. And it's like, people are gonna shit on you no matter what, and if you're one of the most powerful woman in the world, like, you are going to get shit on, which is just wild. Because if you think about the fucking talent it would take to plan out all of your albums like she has and to integrate, I don't even know all the freaking storylines that are weaved into all the albums, or the fucking Easter eggs she's put 10 years before an album has come out. Like, she is a genius. And I love that she just shares about like being a mad woman and being obsessed with things and being like, who gives a fuck? Because that's how you are going to just become this force that cannot be reckoned with. But yet I look at her and I'm like, oh my god, we're all human beings. And like, my subconscious was like, what deodorant does she use? Like, she's sweating and she's performing for so long, like, she must smell like BO after this. Or like, how does she I'm like, does she get Brazilian waxes? Because there's no way I could perform like this if I got a Brazilian wax that day. Like, it would just be so uncomfortable. Like, she's a human like all of us. And so my subconscious goes on like weird tangents, like wondering like what her personal life is like. But at the same time, like, this is what she was born to do, and she followed this dream of hers, and look where it brought her, look where it took her, and look at the magic she is creating for billions, okay, maybe, I don't know, millions, billions, so many fucking people around the world. It's so fucking cool. And so it's just so empowering to also listen and her be like, yeah, people call me fucking crazy. People call me a lunatic. People think I'm obsessed. People think I'm a mad woman. And she doesn't give a fuck. And she's just like, look at me slay. Look at me live my best life. Look at me perform. Look at me change the world through my art, through my pure talent of how I write songs and perform them and integrate them into all of my music. It's just so freaking cool. And for the people who shit on Taylor Swift and just think it's lame to be a Swiftie, I'm like, you're clearly not. It's fine if it's like not your cup of tea, but also she's so many different kinds of music. It's like, you could have one album that's your jam, maybe not the others, but like Reputation, Lover, Speak Now, they're just so good. And I just think like, it's one thing to not be a fan, but it's another thing to shit on some epic art and some epic talent and some epic like thought put into someone's career. There's just so much dedication, and she's just so great at performing. And that's what I get so mesmerized, because there is some musical theater to it and just dramatic, expressions. And that's how you just captivate an entire freaking stadium of people and hope that the people in the very back feel the same magic that the people in the very front feel. And she just, okay. She just inspires me so much to keep pushing for my dreams. And like, watching her on stage, I grew up performing on stage. It just makes me want to be on stage. And like, I'm not a great singer. I can hold a choreography. I can do a dance routine, but like, I feel like podcast is my calling. And it's just like, watching her on stage just reminds me like, I have a stage presence and I can hone in on that. And that's not an egotistical thing to do. That's not a selfish thing to do. That's not something self-centered to do. It's something that like, when you know there's something magical inside of you that you are really good at instinctively, we all have something, fucking follow it and be unapologetic about it. Posting and making your life public, you are gonna get shit no matter what. My aunt freaking said to my mom like, oh, like with Jess's podcast, like, I just don't like that, like, she shares so much about her life, like I could never do that. It's like, yeah, great, no one ever told you should do that. I love sharing my life. I find the ways to set my boundaries and not share certain things. And so it's just wild that it's like, everyone has something to say, and yet you would have nothing to say if this person wasn't putting themselves out there doing this. So there's something to just appreciate about that, point blank, period. We get into these like wild arguments sometimes, or just debates about different political things, when we're all human and we're all feeling deep emotion and grief and pain and joy and love and passion and creativity. And so if we can sit back and like say, yeah, sure, maybe Taylor Swift isn't my cup of tea, but look at the art. Look at how freaking crazy of a career she's created for herself. And it's funny because I feel like I'm sitting here like, I feel like people who will listen to this episode are more Taylor Swift fans. But like, I just think you can change the world with an attitude of like, let's just appreciate people and not immediately judge people. And in my life recently, I've found that there's just certain people, family members, who just like have opinions about what I should do with my life, and they feel so strongly about it and they want to tell me about it so aggressively. And I'm just like, why? It's not your life. It's my life. And so what does it matter to you what I do with it? And so when we judge people, it doesn't make a lot of sense to me, because I'm like, go pay attention to what you're fucking doing. And when I think back, I'm like, okay, these people who are telling me what I should and shouldn't do, what's their life like? Is there something that they maybe aren't paying attention to within their own lives and hearts and dreams and goals? Yeah, probably. But I just let yourself explore your art form and your creative form. Art form, creative form, you know what I mean? It's such a magical thing. And every time I go experience art, I'm like, oh, I need this in my life so much more. And I'm so grateful I grew up around art. I went to a musical theater studio for 10-15 years of my life. I was in art school from grade 6 to grade 12. I have been immersed in the creative culture, and so I also feel passionately about the parts of the creative world that I think is like a downside, like judgment and cancel culture and all that stuff. But I also know when I go and I watch something like Taylor's Eras Tour movie, I'm just like, whoa, I need to do this more. That's always in the back of my head. I need to do this more. I need to do this more. I need to do this more, because it just, when we are tired all the time, or when we are getting burned out, or when we're feeling bogged down, it's because we don't have enough awe in our life. We don't have enough magic. We don't have enough art in our life. So it's not about going to rest more and lay in your bed and watch Netflix. It's like, let's create more spark and moments of awe, and moments of awe, moments where you're like, whoa, and you're just starstruck, or you're just like gasping, and you're taken away from the everyday struggles and stresses of life. And that's why I record this podcast, because it gets me in a flow and makes me feel that way, because things just, it's like pouring my thoughts out of me. It's very therapeutic for me. And in those moments of awe, you are able to like restore your energy and feel inspired again, and just feel so grateful for the life that you do have and the incredible things that are a part of our world, instead of getting bogged down by all the hard stuff that's going on, because there is so much hard stuff, there's so much grief, there's so much pain. But if we purposefully include beauty and art and creativity in our lives, especially in our everyday lives, then like we are going to be okay. We are going to be able to take care of ourselves. We're going to be able to restore our energy and our drive and our motivation. Like, people are like, where do you get motivation from? People don't ask me that. But in podcasts that I listen to, they're answering questions about people who ask that. And in my opinion, it's taking care of yourself. It's restoring your own energy. It's making sure you're doing things that leave you feeling inspired. Like, I have really removed some things from my life that didn't make me feel good, like alcohol and partying and that stuff. But I love to dance. I love to dance so much. And so that's something I am intentionally trying to include in my life more, because when I get to dance it out and have fun with friends and just enjoy myself and let loose and release so much energy from my body physically, I am just overwhelmed with joy. And that's how we have a beautiful fucking life. And so I think it's bullshit when people shit on Swifties or shit on someone for loving anything, because I have heard from my therapist and many cool people, don't yuck someone else's yum. Don't yuck someone else's yum. So if I'm really into something, don't judge me for it. Just let me be and go have your own opinion somewhere else, because you're stealing someone's joy and happiness. And I think I've been so quiet about being a big Taylor Swift fan because people kept taking that away. And like, I even had a friend recently who responded to an Instagram story. I reposted something with Taylor Swift in it and how she's awesome. And he's like, "You're the least annoying Swiftie I know." And it's like, yeah, we're assuming all these freaking Swifties are annoying. And it's like, I am not a person of big extremes sometimes, and so that's why I'm like not full-fledged. Like, I didn't even make friendship bracelets. I'm so embarrassed. That thing I'm actually so embarrassed about. I showed up and my mom was like, "What the hell, Jess? What a fucking fail. We didn't get any friendship bracelets. We didn't make any. We can't exchange some with anybody." Well, there wasn't a lot of people there, so I want to go again though with people that I know love Taylor Swift. I have like one friend who loves Taylor Swift and my mom, and go when it's like actually really busy, because I want to feel like the concert vibes, because I think it would be like even more fucking fun doing that. But so let people be, let them enjoy the things that they love to do and love to just have fun with. And you don't need to be amazing at it. If I think I daydream sometimes about doing musical theater again, and I will not be a Taylor Swift. Nope. But my mom used to say to me though, when I was little and I would go on stage, she didn't say this to me, but I know this. I was not the best singer. I was not the best dancer. But my mom said, like, you have this captivating energy. And other moms would come up to me when I was young and be like, "I couldn't stop watching you." And my mom was like, "I thought I couldn't stop watching you just because you're my daughter." But I've had people tell me, like, you have this energy. And so it didn't matter that I wasn't the best performer. I also went to like a pretty like mediocre studio. It was no dance competition vibes. But like being told that from a young age and now coming back to this, like, it reminds me that there is something special in me. There's something special in all of us. And so if I went to do musical theater as an adult, it would just be for fun. And it wouldn't be because I want to be the best singer and dancer there, but it would be something to fill my cup, or go do vocal lessons, or go sing karaoke. Do you know what I mean? And if you don't know what that is, look back to when you were a kid, because we could be completely unfiltered with, hopefully, I don't know. I think we're way more unfiltered as kids. Depends on the circumstance. But I think we could be completely way more unfiltered when we were kids doing the things that we love to do. And so it carries within us and it stays inside of us. Sometimes we just ignore it. Other times we hone in on it. A great example of this is my mom shared a Facebook post that she made in 2011. So I was 10 years old. And it was a sign on my door that said, "Shh, recording in progress. Please be quiet. Thank you." I have no idea what I was recording at 10 years old, but I don't know. I could probably throw some guesses out there. It definitely wasn't a podcast, but clearly I was recording something. And it just was such a weird, whoa moment for me, because I'm like, oh my God, I've been doing this my whole life, just in different forms. And when we come back to our core, it's like, oh, the things I genuinely love, I've loved them my whole life. Things have transformed. Things have changed. I do things I never thought I would do. But at my core, the things I truly love is like performing and being on stage and creating art and being creative. Like, those things are still inside of me. And once, like, when we start to grow up, we're just told that we should push it down and get a corporate job or get certain jobs to fulfill our needs and just ignore everything else. And you don't need to make it your whole job, but you can have some fun after work or after school or whatever, and make sure you're prioritizing that fun, creative inner child in you, because we all have it, and it's what makes life worth living, and it's what makes life enjoyable. So I'm a fucking Swiftie. Formal announcement. And I would love to connect with you if you are too. I would love to go to another Eras Tour movie concert. And I would love if you would share this with your fellow Swiftie friend, or someone who's on the fence, or someone who's not and needs to be put in their place. Not because I want them to be a Swiftie, but because they need to stop hating on our whole community. And that's the last thing I wanted to say too, is having such a crazy big fan base like Taylor does, it creates community, and we all need community. We need connection. And I recorded an episode all about running and how I ran 10 kilometers, and something I didn't include in it, which is actually a big motivator for me while I'm running, is looking at people and smiling and just exchanging that small moment of human to human connection and being like, oh, okay, and then it gives me a boost to keep going. And that's a metaphor for fucking life. So connect with people, share love with others, whether it's your love for Taylor Swift or maybe your love for cars, who knows. And I will see you next Monday for another episode. Thanks for listening.